Summer continues to move along, and there could be some breakout X factors for this Duke basketball team that I really think we need to talk about.
Hi, everybody. Dick Vitale. Hey, make sure you listen, man. The Locked On Blue Devils with J.J. Jackson. He's awesome, baby.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is J.J. Jackson. It's so great to have you here with us today on Wednesday, August 6th, 2025. Today's video here with Locked On Blue Devils, we're going to be talking about what's going on with this Duke basketball team, summer workouts, and potential X factors that we've got on the squad. We'll do this conversation with our good pal, Jordan Mann, who joins us on the show here today. If you have not done so already, please be sure to follow and subscribe to Locked On Blue Devils for free, wherever it is that you get your podcast. Be sure to leave us a 5-star rating and written review. Go ahead and like this video as well if you're watching it on YouTube. A special shout out to all of our everydayers that are out there. Thanks for your support of our show each and every day. All right, without further ado, let's bring him on into today's show. The aforementioned J-Man back with us once again. I hope you're doing well, man. The calendar is turned to August. Duke football's actually going to play a game this month, and Duke basketball will be here before we know it.
Yeah, JJ, I'm so happy to be back on here. It's been a long time. I've taken a long hiatus from Locked On Blue Devils. But obviously you and I caught up during AC Media Day a couple weeks ago, so it's great seeing you and grabbing dinner with you. Look, yeah, it's been a great offseason for me personally, but also now we are in August with Duke football ramping up. Duke basketball just had an open scrimmage or open practice for fans with a couple scrimmage highlights in there that I'm sure we'll talk about. And obviously Duke basketball doing a really good job of posting clips from practice or summer workouts that we'll talk about as well.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I loved getting a chance to break bread with you in Charlotte recently. And now we've got to have you back on the program to talk about all the things we were discussing over the dinner table. So with that being said, talking about this Duke team in particular, you mentioned they had that open practice yesterday that Kevin and I previewed a little bit. Duke, for those that weren't able to be there, tweeted out the whole itinerary, the practice breakdown, the schedule of what they were going to do throughout the course of the action. And then next thing you know, we see some highlights that come out after the fact. It has been the summer of hype for a guy like Sebastian Wilkins. And I think he's one of the first big breakout X factors that I want to discuss here on the show. And who better to have this conversation with than you, who, as soon as he committed, you've got the full film breakdown on your channel, talking about what he can do. And every time a clip goes viral, it seems like the Duke world wants to tag J-Man's takes for what they're seeing Sebastian do.
Dude, yeah, when I watched, like I said, I think I was on the show when I talked about him committing. I put on his film and I was like, wow, he has a lot of obviously it's highlights, but highlights where I'm like, oh my God, this guy he's moving different. And obviously he reclassed, and obviously he was viewed and is viewed as a guy that won't contribute right away year one, but year two, he can make that leap to year three and so on. But yeah, like Duke basketball has been tweeting out clips of him like taking to the rack and flushing the ball through the net, and he's hitting jumpers. And, again, these are summer workouts, but it's content. And here we are in the dog days of August and talking about him. But he's a guy that he's exciting. Like, he makes flashy plays because of his athleticism. When he gets to the rim, he's going to flush it, and it's impressive. And yeah, I've been on the hype train a little bit with Sebastian from watching his high school tape, to where I really do think that he could be a guy that, maybe not right away, but as the season progresses, you see him playing 10 minutes a game and spot minutes, because his versatility, he can play a wing. He can steal you minutes at a 4, maybe. Yeah. Like he can play 2 through 4 if need be. And who knows, if somebody's not progressing the way they should during the season, then maybe he's a guy that steps in that role and gives you 10 minutes.
And it seems like he's going to bring a whole lot of energy to this team, which I love, certainly, when you think about what Duke has built themselves on over the last several decades under Coach K, now into the John Shire era. A whole lot of energy, a whole lot of toughness, and they want to be one of the most imposing teams that's out there. From a size perspective, Sebastian Wilkins is right there. And we can put all the qualifiers out there that we want, Jordan, about It is highlights. It is practice. It is this. It is that. We did the same thing about Con Knippel a year ago, and this has been the story with this Duke program. You're playing against the best when you go at a school like Duke, and the fact that you're stepping up to these competition, I think it does speak volumes to what you can bring. So I'm really fired up for Sebastian Wilkins. You already labeled him, what was it, the Sean Stewarts of LeBron James?
The LeBron James of Sean Stewart.
The LeBron James of Sean Stewarts. Yeah, that might be pending review, right? If he continues this ascension, is there an opportunity he can get past that?
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously I say that tongue-in-cheek because his athleticism pops like he's Sean Stewart, but he has an all-around game that Sean Stewart just does not have. And so that's where the LeBron James of Sean Stewart comes into play. But in all seriousness, he will be a guy that his athleticism and what he brings on the perimeter, his shot-making ability and ball-handling ability is something, again, Sean Stewart never had. And so, yeah, he's LeBron James of Sean Stewart's pending.
You may have caught this. I've brought this up on Locked On Blue Devils already before. You may have caught this, Jordan, because you see a whole lot of everything. But I made sure when watching the practice footage that Duke has put out there, and we've broke it all down, and I total up the points, as people know, throughout the course of the summer. And I'm talking about who's hot, who's not, who's making shots, and whatnot. On one of Sebastian Wilkins' breakaway dunks, in the corner of the shot, you can see there, with a basketball in his hand, sitting up against the wall, Cassius Stanley happened to be in town that day for Duke basketball, attending a summer workout. And I was like, this is fitting. Cassius Stanley levitates through the air when he's playing basketball. And here we see Sebastian Wilkins damn near doing the same thing on a breakaway spot here.
Of course, you would see that, JJ. I did not see that. I know what highlight you're talking about. I did not see Cassius Stanley in the background, but out of me and you to see that, it's you because you are so good at finding those little nuggets. It's almost like you're watching a movie and you're like, oh, is that somebody, a cameo? Cash Stanley cameo. So
a cameo, yeah.
That's really cool, though. I did not know that. But, yeah, talk about athleticism. Like those two guys, I would love to watch them just have a little dunk contest in the practice gym.
No kidding. No kidding. Well, I brought Sebastian Wilkins to the table as a potential breakout X factor for this Duke squad. We know Cameron Boozer is going to be the star. We know Isaiah Evans is going to be one of those guys for Duke basketball this season. Let's see who J-Man brings to the table for us to discuss after we take our first break here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at Monarch Money. Do you ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. When I started using Monarch Money, I was able to see things like how much I was spending on things like food delivery. Now I'm able to budget smarter and save a whole lot more. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for half off your first year. Monarch Money is a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. Okay, J-Man's here with me. We're talking Duke basketball this summer, talking X Factors on the show today. And this obviously will change throughout the course of the summer as we get closer to the season, as we see more footage that's been put out there. But right now today, we've highlighted Sebastian Wilkins. I teed you up a moment ago, Jordan. Who deserves some love from the aforementioned Jordan Mann today? Who deserves some love from this Duke squad?
I'm so bad at this, JJ, because Connor, in our latest episode of Big J Little J show, I gave my top 5 most important Duke players, and then I had 7 honorable mentions after that. So my breakout X factor could be 3 different guys right now because
let me hear it.
I could give you 1 and then like 2 honorable mentions because this is how my brain is wired. But
give it to me. I love it.
I would say right now, oh God, I'm getting nervous. I'm going to say Darren Harris. I'll say breakout X factor because he looked comfortable yesterday in the 8-minute segments, the 3 8-minute segments Duke had. Obviously, Isaiah showed his shot-making ability, but also the way he put the ball on the floor and facilitated was really nice to see because that is his next step, as the guy for a potential guy for Duke. Cam Boozer did Cam Boozer things. Darren Harris would be the guy for me as a breakout X factor. And my honorable mention that I was going to also say is Caleb Foster, just because we're in year 3 and Darren Harris would be nice to see him be a breakout factor. We need to see Caleb Foster being a breakout factor. Like, that's a difference between wanting and needing. And I think Duke needs Caleb Foster to be that guy.
I need it for CFOS. I wanted to give Darren Harris his love because that's my guy, and we'll get back to him in just a second. But yesterday we talked about John Rothstein's there with Duke, and he's talking with John Shire, and he puts out the tweet that Caden Boozer has led the team in assists, and that's noteworthy. All right, we want to talk about that throughout the course of the summer. Qualifier, it's practice, all these things. But once again, what I saw online, Jordan, and you and I are very good at, we've got a bad habit of being too much online sometimes. Immediately the conversation pivoted to, this is horrible for Caleb Foster. What's going on here? He's worthless. He's a bad basketball player. He's terrible. And I don't like it. I don't want to stand for it. I'm ready for Caleb Foster to have his role. And who cares if it's not leading this team in assists? If he's making an impact, that's what matters. And I think he can fit in to a successful Duke team this year.
Yeah, and I think Caleb Foster is also more comfortable being off ball. Like, that's what I've tried to tell people for a little while is, yeah, like Caden Boozer and him, they view them as both point guards, but I really think Caleb Foster is just more comfortable being like a shooting guard in the offense in the half court. And that's not a bad thing. You can use that to your advantage where Caden plays the 1, and then you have Caleb move over to the 2 sometimes. And also I'm glad you brought up Caden because he was also possibly an honorable mention. We'll never know. But there was a highlight clip of him hitting a 3 and then getting a steal instead of Darren Harris, I think, for a 3 and back right after one another in the scrimmage. And but in the segment of after he hit the 3, I think the other team brought the ball up the floor. Dame Sarr brought up the ball and then passed it to Caleb Foster to initiate the offense. And so that kind of goes to my theory that Caleb Foster is more comfortable being off ball and maybe sometimes brings the ball up, sometimes he doesn't. And we saw Dame Sarr bring up the ball in this certain clip that I cannot find right now, but I did see. And then it led, obviously, Caden Boozer got the steal for a 3. But to my point, though, with Caleb Foster, I think is going to be a guy that plays more off ball than you think. You can pencil him as a point guard, but I wouldn't be surprised seeing him off ball with Caden at the 1 sometimes.
I'm excited just to see this whole team continue to get worked and reps in and learn each other. We talked about there are 5 returners, obviously, but you got to factor in the 5 new guys, Dame Sarr being one of them, like you talked about there. Darren Harris, though, let's get back to your X factor because I'll put up his totals here on the screen once again from the video that's online, right? I'm ready. I'm ready to put this up and bring it to the world. We don't really have a full running breakdown of the public scrimmage that took place yesterday at the open practice for Duke. But Darren Harris, leading scorer, 11 points, 3 3-pointers, had a little floater as well. Let's circle back to Harris and how big it'll be for him to play a large role for the Duke team.
Well, first thing, JJ, the unidentified practice guy, 3 points, that was me. I was in the corner, spot up shooter. You can put that credit, just put J-Man down there for 3. But
dude, I haven't been able to figure it out. So thank you for breaking that news. Exclusive here. J-Man snuck his way into practice.
It's like you're trying to identify the Zodiac killer. Unidentified practice guy, 3 points. But Darren Harris, yeah, like 11 points. And I said it when he stepped foot on campus his freshman year. Like, he's a 3-level scorer. He's a catch-and-shoot guy from the 3. He can beat you off of pull-up mid-range, and he can get to the cup and finesse a layup around defenders. And 11 points, by the way, he can knock down free throws as well to where he's going to give Duke a variety of buckets. Or I guess he's going to give opponents a variety of buckets for Duke. And so you see 11 points, but he's going to be an efficient scorer for Duke this season. And like we've talked about on the show in the past, like the start of the last year, this past season, he was ahead of Isaiah Evans in the roster. And then Isaiah jumped him, and Isaiah obviously had a really nice freshman year. But Darren Harris has that potential to be a guy for Duke, and therefore he is my breakout X factor.
Good choice. Good choice. You mentioned some honorable mentions as well. You teased Caden Boozer. I want to go back to Caden, though, because we're telling people 2 things can be true. Caden Boozer and Caleb Foster can both be important for this Duke basketball team. Shine some light there on Caden Boozer.
Yeah, I mean, Caden Boozer is probably he is a traditional point guard to where Duke hasn't had a traditional point guard in a while. And it's not a bad thing. They won 35 games without one last year, but it's nice to see a guy that he's on the floor looking to facilitate and hit and make other guys better by getting the ball out of his hands and giving it to somebody else, like an Isaiah Evans, who I think will really benefit from having a legit facilitator looking for him when he doesn't have the ball in his hands. And then he can be a disruptor on the defensive side of things because we know that John Shire loves to play defense. He wants his guys to guard. And that's one thing, Caleb Foster, where both those guys can be breakout X factors, is what they can bring to the table defensively. Like Caden Boozer can be a guy that can be a good defender. We've seen Caleb Foster lock up RJ Davis all the way to the bathroom in the Dean Dome. Like the guy can strap up people. And also Caden Boozer is a winner. Like the guy has just won at every level he's played at. And that speaks highly about what he is as a player. Like he might not have the flashiest stats, but that boy wins. And that's something that should make Duke fans excited that he wins everywhere he goes.
Can I give another honorable mention? Let's just continue this trend where everybody deserves some love.
Connor's not here to overrule this. So you can give me the whole roster. If it goes down to Iffy or Jack Scott, then I'm fine with it.
What about unidentified practice?
Oh, I'm the unidentified.
Okay, we've clarified that. Maybe you're the X factor that we've got to highlight here for Duke. I want to go Nick Kaminia, though. I mean, this is I'm glad people got to see a little bit more of him yesterday at this open practice. He's late to the party because he's representing Team USA. You know, that's pretty awesome with the U19. Not quite to the level of Cooper Flagg going up against the senior national team in the Olympics a year ago. But when you're late arriving to campus because you're winning gold for our country, shout out to you. But when you look at somebody like Cam Boozer and like Dame Sarr, you've got kind of your two lead guys in a freshman class. Caden Boozer is going to be talked about more frequently because he's Cam's twin brother, and we just always talk about them as a package. Now we're not talking about Haminia as much. And I just watch more and more of his clips, Jordan, and I'm like, this dude's going to ball right away. And I think one of the bigger points as well is when the draft concluded and the very next day we get the way too early mock drafts for 2026. And Jonathan Gaboni and Jeremy Wu with Draft Express and ESPN at the time put out there that Haminia is a lottery pick. Oh, yeah, I'm buying that hype, man. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, Jonathan Gavoni, you know, he has me blocked on Twitter for making a joke about LeBron James or Bronny James. But yeah, the lottery pick grade is crazy, like a crazy stock, right? But Haminia is a guy that I do like a lot. I was very shocked to see the lottery projection when I saw it. Too, yeah. I was like, wow. And but I think he'll come to his own. He'll come to his own and in his own zone when he's at Duke once he gets the more reps. Because like you said, he missed basically the whole summer because he was winning a gold medal, and that's hard to do. And so he is a guy, again, I'm glad you're giving me honorable mention because I think he deserves to be recognized. And a guy that I've been high on that we haven't talked about really is Dame Sarr. And I think like he also has a little bit of a learning curve. He played okay from what I heard in the live scrimmages, but he's a guy that I think is going to progress as the season goes along. And if you went to the practice, because, you know, fans went and saw the game or the practice, and you came discouraged about certain guys, this is just your reminder on Locked On Blue Devils here is that it doesn't matter. It's in August. Like when Cooper Flagg started last season, yes, everybody knew he was Duke's best player, all that stuff. He did not shoot the ball well for the first month and a half of the season. And you're like, wow, this guy – he might be lottery. He's not going number one. He's shooting 23% from three. Then he found his range at the end of December. So I say all that to say, if you find a guy you don't think's all the way there right now in August, come back to the show in December and we can talk about it again.
Okay, let's pivot to football as we start to wrap up our show here today. As we look at the preseason ACC poll with who's going to win the league, someone in the media voted Virginia Tech to win the ACC. And all I'm saying, if Jordan Mann had been at ACC kickoff, there might have been a vote for Duke. J-Man's a little high on this Duke football team, right?
Yes. Oh,
yeah. All right. The teaser. Let's tease that as we head to our next break. Yeah, if J-Man would have been there, we might have been talking about the one vote that Duke got to win the conference ahead of Manny Diaz, second year as head coach. Locked On Blue Devils continues. Thank you so much for making Locked On Blue Devils your first listen and your first watch here today. For your second listen, be sure that you go check out The Portal Show. Locked On's very own Brian Smith does a great job keeping you up to date on everything going on in the wide world of the transfer portal, of recruiting, of the college football landscape as a whole. Go check it out. The Portal Show, wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Also check out Locked On College Basketball with hosts Isaac Shade and Andy Patton. They do everything in their powers to talk about college basketball every single day. They talk a whole lot about our Duke Blue Devils as well. Go check it all out. All right, J-Man's here with us. We teased it going to break. We had to keep him from turning in a first-place vote for Duke to win the conference ahead of the year. I'm buying the hype, though. In all serious, Duke comes in 6th in the preseason poll. I'm on Locked On ACC. People can go check out the squad episode this week. The whole group at large is labeling Duke in the underrated, undervalued department. And I'm all for it, man. I love it. Doubt him a little bit more and watch what this new look offense and a Manny Diaz-led defense once again is going to be able to do.
Oh, I was about to go through this screen for not only Duke, but whoever voted for Virginia Tech to win the ACC. Because what the hell are you thinking?
Right.
Wow, that's going to be clipped, and I'm going to look like an idiot. But my buddies,
they finished 11th. They finished 11th in the poll, and someone said, "Yep, first."
If my buddy is a diehard Virginia Tech fan, so he is going to give me hell for this. But like Brent Pry is his tenure, all we know is him losing one-score games. What do you think is going to change in year 4 for them to win the ACC?
Right.
So yeah, that just is crazy. But back to Duke is, yeah, like Manny Diaz. I mean, the fact I covered this on our podcast, Big J Little J Show. You can find it on my YouTube at JMan_ and on Apple, Spotify. But we talked about this. Duke won 9 games last year, and the offense was statistically one of the worst offenses in the ACC. 15th out of the 17th offensively, second to last in third down conversion, dead last in fourth down conversion, second to last in rushing yards per game and total, behind only ahead of Florida State, who was a dumpster fire all year. And that team won 9 games for Duke. That is incredible. They had a quarterback in Malik Murphy that set the passing touchdown record and for a single season, but also had a 20% completion percentage when pressured. Like, that is middle school numbers when pressured, 20%. You won 9 games. So my point being, you let him walk and you bring in Darian Mensah to lead the offense, and you finally give your offensive coordinator a type of QB that his offense was made for. Like when Jonathan Brewer became the OC for Duke, Malik Murphy was already the quarterback at Duke, so he had to figure out what to do with Malik Murphy. And obviously it was a boom or bust offense with it's either going to be a touchdown or 3 and out. So you just didn't know which one it was going to be. And so this team is coming off a 9-win season. They bring back so many NFL caliber players on the defensive side of the ball with Chandler Rivers, Vince Anthony Jr., Wes Williams, and then Terry Moore, who is going to miss probably the first half of the year recovering from an ACL injury. But they brought in some dudes in the portal too, outside of Mensah, that offensively, I think Duke's going to have some explosive plays this year.
I agree. I'm so lit about what Duke's going to be able to do on the football field this season. I think with the playmakers that they've got for Mensah to throw the football to. You mentioned Andrew Anthony, Cooper Barkett coming in. But let's not forget the guys that are coming back. I mean, let's lead the Samir Hagans and Quayshawn Brown hype trades, man. Ballers.
I've had Samir Hagan stock. I've had Samir Hagan stock for 3 years. Like nobody, not even Samir Hagan's dad has more stock than I do at this point. I bought it when there was a dip in his sophomore year. I've held on. I have diamond hands over here, and he's going to be a guy that I'm very excited for to make another leap and be consistent. Like I said, with Samir Hagans, we saw like against Miami, he had like over 100 yards receiving and really stood out in that game with Peyton Jones. But the next week, can we see him go from 8 catches, 100 yards to, 7 catches for 70 rather than 2 catches for 15? That is the next step with him, is consistently giving Duke 60-plus yards receiving per game. That would be outstanding for Duke alongside Andrew Anthony coming in, Cooper Barkate, like you said, and Queso Brown, who had a really good first year for Duke.
Queso Brown is just – I love it. I love it. That's the nickname that you go with when your name's quite – I mean, you make it work. It's awesome. Yeah. And then you mentioned on the defensive side of the ball, playmakers that Duke's got returning, and that's what Manny Diaz does. That's what Jonathan Packey has done. They lead the country almost every year, it feels like, in TFLs and getting after the quarterback, right? And that sets up your secondary to be successful. Chandler Rivers leads the way for that bunch. You mentioned Terry Moore coming back from injury. I don't know who it's going to be yet because there are so many guys that you could point to as kind of breakout candidates. We talked X factors for basketball a little bit earlier, but the younger guys within the secondary, and I'm not even asking you to be put on the spot here, Jordan, and giving me one unless you want to, but somebody will emerge from that group this year, and I can't wait to figure out who it is.
Yeah, I mean, one guy that people already know a little bit of, or most know of him, is Deshaun Stone. He played like
AC Reynolds High School. Shout out.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. And he had over 500 snaps last year as a redshirt freshman, and he had to start week 1 last year because Jalen Stinson was serving. You know, he had targeting, so he had to sit out the first half. And so against Elon, so Deshaun Stone started as a redshirt freshman and then played over 500 snaps. He'll be the guy that steps in for Terry Moore as he recovers from his ACL injury. And then second guy is Jaden Francois, transfer in from, I think, Utah State. And he replaces Cam Bergeron, who I talked about again on the show. It's just hilarious. The guy was not honorable mention all ACC. He had 85 tackles, like 5 forced fumbles. He had 2 picks, I think it was. The guy was everywhere for Duke, and he didn't get all ACC. And so now you're replacing that with the transfer in Jaden Francois. So I'd say those 2 guys off the top of my head, outside of the Chandler Rivers of the world, are X factors for Duke.
I forgot all about it. It always makes me laugh when you get to the start of the season, and it'll happen again this year. You know, who's not playing in the first half of the first game of the year because in some crazy bowl game they got a targeting call and they've got to then serve it the very next year. What are we doing?
It's so stupid, dude. Like the whole
what are we doing?
Even being ejected, just give them 15 yards. You're penalizing a 19-year-old kid that's going 100 miles an hour against another guy going 100 miles an hour. And you're like, you can't do that. You're thrown out of this game and you can't play next game if it happens in the second half. It's just like, no. If he does it 3 times in a game, then yeah, send him out of there. Like, good Lord, but don't kick him out.
Yeah, this happened 8 months ago, but you need to not be here for the first half.
Yeah, he was on house arrest for 8 months.
And then now, welcome back. Jalen Stinson's here. Yeah, and there are going to be more guys like that this year. Jordan, this is awesome, man. Tell me about, look, you got some new exciting news that people saw online. Shout out yourself, man. You've been working hard and how people can support you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, JJ, because I definitely was not going to bring that up on accident. But the J-Man underscores on YouTube, J-Man's takes on Twitter, and I am a part of Sleepers Media for this basketball season starting now, starting in August, pushing out content as we get ready for the basketball season, covering Duke basketball and also covering the whole landscape of college basketball. So a lot of great content coming from Sleepers Media that I'm very happy to be a part of. Me and the boys are ready to go, and it's going to be very exciting this basketball season.
All right, Jordan, we'll talk again soon. Thanks for stopping by, man.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right, that's Jordan Mann here on the program today. I promise it won't be as long until we get him back on the show. I know people have been begging for J-Man to come back. Here he is today, better than ever. Thanks for your support, as always, here with us on Locked On Blue Devils. Please be sure to follow and subscribe to us for free, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Also, watch us each and every day on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like this video. Share it with your friends as we continue to grow the audience here within the Locked On Blue Devils world. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you again tomorrow. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.